Welcome and a very good evening. You're watching Blueprint Explosive Exclusive with me, Siddhartha Talya. Now, mystery as well as speculation continue to swirl around Iran's new Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei, just days after he assumed power following the killing of his father, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Now, reports have claimed that Mojtaba may have been severely injured in recent strikes on the part of Israel and the United States, with some even suggesting that he may have lost a limb, a leg, or slipped into a coma. Now, these are claims that Iran has strongly denied, insisting that he's safe and in good health. Adding to the intrigue, Mojtaba has not made a public appearance since taking over, issuing his first message in written form. Confusion is also extended to his family members after earlier reports had suggested that his mother had been killed, only for Iranian media to later clarify that she's very much alive. The question remains, does Iran now need another new leader? Now, before we tell you about what the reports have been claiming about the fate of Mojtaba Khamenei, let's also tell you a little about the man himself. Mojtaba Khamenei is Iran's new supreme leader, and he's the second son of the late Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who ruled the Islamic Republic for more than 3 decades. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei had taken over as the supreme leader in 1989. A deeply hardline cleric, Mojtaba spent years operating behind the scenes in Iran's power structure, earning a reputation as a key gatekeeper and political power broker within the office of the supreme leader. He was also on the front lines during the Iran-Iraq war, which went on between 1980 and 1989, and later developed close ties with Iran's powerful Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, a parallel army, so to speak, strengthening his influence in the country's security establishment. Despite never holding a formal political post, Mojtaba Khamenei was sanctioned by the United States in 2019 for acting on behalf of his father and advancing the regime's policies, while reports have also suggested that he has accumulated significant assets overseas. Let's also now tell you of the reports that have been claiming that Mojtaba Khamenei may have been incapacitated. Reports have surfaced about the health of Iran's new supreme leader following recent airstrikes. Several reports have claimed that Mojtaba may have lost a leg, even slipped into a coma, and suffered injuries during those strikes that targeted key locations in Tehran. Now, these claims remain unverified, and Iranian officials have rejected the reports outright. Adding to the mystery around Mojtaba Khamenei, the American President Donald Trump has claimed that Mojtaba Khamenei is still alive in some form or another, quote unquote, and suggested that he may be damaged but probably alive. The remarks have fueled further debate and speculation over the Iranian leader's health and the extent of the injuries reportedly sustained during those attacks. Now, Iran has also pushed back against reports about the condition of Mojtaba Khamenei after claims had been circulated that he might have been in a coma. Iran's ambassador to Tunisia, Mir Masood, said that the reports were incorrect and insisted that Mojtaba Khamenei is safe and in good health. Now, despite the rumors and speculation surrounding his well-being, Mojtaba Khamenei did in fact release his first statement after being chosen as Iran's new supreme leader. In that statement, Mojtaba Khamenei warned that the Straits of Hormuz would remain shut and that attacks linked to the confrontation could continue, while calling on Gulf states to clearly state their positions as far as the conflict is concerned. He also vowed to avenge the blood of what he described were martyrs, demanding the closure of American bases across the region, and he's also accused Washington of falsely claiming to seek peace. After first stating that the wife of late Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was also killed, the Iranian media has now backtracked. The media now says that she is alive, calling earlier claims of her death as incorrect. The clarification came after observers noted that Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, in his first statement mourned several family members but did not mention his mother's death, raising speculation now about her status. An IRGC-linked outlet later issued a clarification saying that she survived the attack. Now, there's also a debate surrounding whether Mojtaba Khamenei can actually be called an Ayatollah. Mojtaba is widely described as a mid-level Shiite cleric rather than the higher clerical title of Ayatollah. Analysts note that Ayatollah rank usually requires many years of advanced religious scholarship and recognition by senior clerics, something that critics say that Mojtaba has not clearly attained so far. However, some Iranian state media and supporters have begun referring to him as an Ayatollah, a move widely seen as an attempt to bolster his religious legitimacy after he rose to power. Uncertainty over Mojtaba Khamenei's condition has also raised questions about what could happen if he's unable to fully exercise power as Iran's supreme leader. One possibility is that Mojtaba retains the title in a largely symbolic capacity, while key decisions are handled by senior clerics and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Another scenario could see Iran's Assembly of Experts convene to appoint a different cleric as the supreme leader. A third option would involve a temporary collective leadership arrangement wherein an interim council assumes the powers of the supreme leader until a longer-term solution is decided. Meanwhile, there's also Donald Trump, who's been flip-flopping when it comes to the West Asia conflict, first saying as to how the Iran war will end soon, then claiming how the United States is not finished yet, and now suggesting that the conflict could be nearing its end, even as he previously warned of the possibility of a prolonged or endless war. In a series of remarks, the American president said that Iran could surrender soon and indicated that Tehran's military capabilities had been significantly weakened during the ongoing campaign. Now, just about an hour ago, the American Secretary for War, Pete Hegseth, addressed the media, giving fresh updates on the escalating conflict and appearing to confirm that Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, has indeed been injured in the strikes, describing him as disfigured. Let's listen into what Hegseth said.
Is in no better shape. Desperate and hiding, they've gone underground, cowering. That's what rats do. We know the new so-called not-so-supreme leader is wounded and likely disfigured. He put out a statement yesterday, a weak one, actually, but there was no voice and there was no video. It was a written statement. He called for unity. Apparently killing tens of thousands of protesters is his kind of unity. Iran has plenty of cameras and plenty of voice recorders. Why a written statement? I think you know why.
So Pete Hegseth asking the questions that we've also been asking. So let's take this across to our guests. We have Mr. Kamar Agha, foreign affairs expert, joining us, and also Dr. Doron Avital, ex-commander of Israel's elite special forces. Dr. Avital and Mr. Agha, thank you so much for weighing in on this. Dr. Avital, coming to you first and foremost. We know that Mojtaba Khamenei has been selected as Iran's new supreme leader, but we've not seen him make any public appearance following that anointment. We've, of course, read the written statement that's been put out on his part and the Iranian authorities, but the people of Iran have not yet seen him in public. So what's your assessment of what's happened to him? Is he really injured? And what is Iran trying to convey by projecting him as a supreme leader, but not putting him in the public domain, so to speak, in the visible eye of the public?
Yeah, it's hard, of course, to assess. We don't have the fact. We heard Peter Hegseth, what he thinks about the condition of the newly elected supreme leader. I think this regime is fighting for its life, and for them to have this symbolic figure as a continuation, of course, is part of what they are trying to put forward. I think we have to understand, and I think the Americans understand, and we Israelis have to understand, that this is not a regime that runs by one man. This is a multi-layer regime. You have the Revolutionary Guards, you have the president, you have, of course, the Ayatollahs and this religious theocracy that runs Iran. But this is a structure. It's not a single man. And to have him as a symbolic figure, as the continuation of his father, is part of the attempt, whatever his condition. It's not for me to tell, but the future will tell what is up.
All right. Mr. Agha, eventually the people of Iran might ask questions about where this man actually is and why is he not being seen in the public eye. Now, you've also said that this could be part of psyops between the various parties that have been involved in this conflict. What's your reading of the situation? Because Pete Hegseth has conveyed what many of us are also thinking, which is, why is this man not in the public eye when he's only released a statement? Or are the Iranians, in fact, trying to protect him because the Israelis have pretty much said that this man will not last long once he assumes the position of supreme leader, which has already happened? What's your reading, Mr. Agha?
I think this is all speculation, part of the psychological war, this sort of thing. Attempt is being made to create some confusion among the public Iranian people. But in Iran, nationalism is very deep-rooted. At the moment, the country is united. There are many people who may be opposed to this regime, I'm sure, but they don't want the regime to be replaced by a pro-American regime at this time. In Iran, they have fiercely independent people. They want their own development. They want, democracy to return. There is no doubt about it. They have been trying to gain a democracy since 1905. They got the constitution, but they also got Raza Shah family the ruler. So that is the problem is there. But this regime, I believe, is very, very strong.
Okay.
Especially, we have seen, earlier also when Saddam Hussein attacked Iran, war continued 8 years. At that time, Iran doesn't have an army because the Iranian army was dissolved by the Imam Khomeini when he captured power immediately after the revolution, because he thought, if this army will remain, then they will again stage a coup and come back to power, overthrow the Islamic Republic. So that's why he was. But the people united. The army emerged much later. They continue to fight. 8 years, 1 million people died, mostly Iranian. So I believe this is just a part of propaganda.
And secondly, psychological ops. But Dr. Avital, Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel has repeatedly stated that this is not a war against the Iranian people. But it is against the Islamic regime there, the Iran Revolutionary Guard Corps, and of course, the supreme leader. He's also called on the people of Iran to rise against the Islamic regime. While we've seen that happen in the past, whether that's in 2022, the early part of this year, and even towards late 2025, it's not appeared to happen now when that country is locked in the middle of a conflict, and the regime there remains defiant in having already chosen a successor to ensure a continuation of the line of the supreme leaders. So Iran continues to remain defiant. What do you have to say about Iran's defiance and the absence of any serious public protest that we've seen in Iran, at least on the ground so far?
Yeah, first of all, we have to still wait to see the historical consequences, because the aftermath of such a war can be in 2 years, 3 years. Who knows when this regime will change and whether there would be enough force to the public to force a different kind of Iran. I'm the last one to predict the future, but it's true that both Israel and I think the U.S. toned down the concept of regime shift and put the emphasis on, of course, the nuclear capabilities of Iran, the military industry, the long ballistic missiles industries, and they're trying to weaken the muscles of this country in its ability to project damage to its surroundings. In terms of the regime shift, it's only a question of hopes for the future,
right.
But we might get, and I would think, the possibility of a regime that is more constructive, more pragmatical in terms of the negotiation of the West. It might be hardliners, it might be more to the middle, it might be people like Larajani, the head of the Security National Council, people that the West can communicate better with.
Okay.
But of course, this is to predict whether in the future we'd have a different, more liberal democracy. This is hard to predict and hard to see right now.
Okay, we have some piece of breaking news coming in from the Middle East, and I'm sorry to interrupt the debate for a moment, but we'll come to that development in just a short while. One word from you, Dr. Agha. Where do you see this going now? Will he eventually make a public appearance? There are reports of him being injured in a coma, etc. You say that this could possibly be propaganda. Why do you think Iranian authorities don't want him at this juncture to be making himself publicly visible? What could be the reason behind that? What's your take on this?
This decision, I think the security agencies will decide. Number of reasons. The moment he will come out, the American and the Israelis and the others will get to know his location. And the place was droned or, missile would hit. he will not survive. So one of the factor I believe is this. Secondly, he will choose the time and come out. If he is all right, if he is healthy, then he will definitely come out. He will decide the time and the place, and he will come out in public. He will address either coming out directly among the people, or meeting with select people, or through media, maybe through his broadcast. This will be decided by the intelligence agencies or security agencies, which are
we'll of course have to wait and see as to what happens. He is alive is something that's being confirmed by the Iranian authorities. Has he suffered serious injuries? And if so, to what extent? Will he eventually make a public appearance? Will there be more statements forthcoming from the new Supreme Leader of Iran? We'll have to wait and see. But many thanks, Dr. Avital, as well as Dr. Ragha, for weighing in on this evolving debate on the fate of Mojtaba Khamenei.